Hello, clubbers. Hello, Scarbo. What do we have today?
Hi, MD. Today we have one of our past guests rejoin us with updates. We have Bernardo from Liisa. Hi,
Hello.
Bernardo.
Hello, Bernardo.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Going good, thank you.
So since we last had you on, maybe for everyone who doesn't know about Liisa, give us a little reintroduction and then we can go into what's new.
Okay, for sure. So at Liisa, what we are building is in essence an AI alpha caller. So we are actually training AI models, brand new AI models, to be able to make calls on investment opportunities, on NFTs. So since if you see the latest statistics, they will show you that right now, on average, only 1 out of 12 NFT investors is able to make a profit or to make money with these NFT investments. This happens because it's quite complicated to predict the future. Some people are very good at it because they are very good at looking at the data. They know how to use all of the tools, etc. So they have sort of an advantage. But the vast majority of people, and especially people like me, probably like yourselves, yeah, we have our own life outside of Web3. We have our jobs. We can never be that good by ourselves. So what we are doing at Liisa is exactly trying to solve that problem. So instead of the classic analytics platform where you usually go, you're able to look at the on-chain data, marketplace listings, all of that, make a big analysis and try to make your mind. We are actually trying to make the computer do that for you using artificial intelligence, machine learning models, so that the system itself can generate the predictions, and you actually have like a second opinion if you want, or a first opinion for you to identify.
Mate.
Sorry?
Better than my opinion.
Yeah. So basically you have I would say like an AI advisor giving you its opinion on what it thinks will happen to your investment or to your potential investment. So the way this works, as I mentioned, we are getting all the on-chain data. We are getting everything that's happening on the marketplaces. We are tracking a few collections for which we are able to make some predictions. And then our models, they use mathematics. I can get into more details if you guys want.
No, go for it, mate.
They use machine learning models. They use tree-based algorithms, which means that they look at all the variables that we have. They individually calculate the impact of each variable into the prices, and then by mixing it all together in one big mathematical problem, let's say, they calculate the probability of your investments doing good or of your investments doing bad, according to what it's seen from data from the past year or for the past many months. And so what it basically does is it looks at what happened in the past, looks at the data that exists right now, and it predicts a probability of what will happen. So maybe it thinks there is a high probability that you will make money with this investment, that the project will do good, or maybe it predicts there is a low probability that it will do good because it sees it in the data. And that's basically the information we are trying to make available for everyone, and ultimately democratize the access to this type of more quantitative alpha.
So in general terms, you can work with any blockchain NFTs, right?
Yes, I mean, as long as there is the infrastructure available,
the
we
data,
can
like the markets or marketplaces and so forth, right?
Exactly. So we need to be able to see all the transactions, what's being sold, for how much is it being sold, who's buying it, what are people listing them for, maybe what other collections are correlated with the specific collection that we're analyzing at a given moment. For example, it's very common if you have two collections that are from within the same creator or the same ecosystem, they tend to perform in parallel. They are correlated to each other. Yeah. Meaning usually if one does good, the other one might follow a few days afterwards, or the other way around. But yeah, we need all of these kind of data in order to be able to do it. So any blockchain that we can access, an indexer, or a node RPC or something that gives us the transactions and what's happening on the marketplaces, it can be integrated with our technology. Then the other thing is we need some liquidity, right? So we can only predict outcomes for collections that have at least some liquidity, because we need data to train the model, right? So if I have a collection that just launched, for example, today, 2 or 3 days ago, or even a month ago, the model doesn't have enough data to learn. So those are basically the two constraints. But I would say it should work on pretty much every big chain, on the biggest collections at least for now. And in the future, of course, we are making the adjustments and the research and development to be able to tackle newer projects with less data and etc. But baby steps, we're going one day at a time. But yeah, any chain for sure, as long as there is some infrastructure in place already.
Couple questions to that maybe. So in regards to the data collecting, does this include social media information, postings by people who buy and sell or talk about it? Do you get kind of like an idea of the how alive a community is around a certain NFT project? And the other question is, oh, never mind. Go to the first one.
Oh, you'll forget that question. I know you will.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Great question. So regarding the social media, at the moment, the first model we have live, it doesn't include it yet. It will for sure include in the future. That's actually something we already developed and that we were developing the last time we spoke.
Yeah.
If you recall.
Twitter.
Yeah.
Twitter. X.
Yeah, so basically what happened was Twitter, or X, how you want to call it, was acquired by Elon Musk. And he made the API very expensive for early stage startups like we, I would say. So I mean, that data is valuable. It helps the models become more accurate, but we cannot do it at scale right now, or at least with the scale that we need. But we have all of that set up. So
it's
in the
not
near
financially
future,
viable at this stage, let's say, right?
no, exactly. Not
Yeah.
financially viable at this stage. For sure, on a longer stage, and we plan to raise more money and have revenue, of course. As soon as we are able to get it, we're going to start implementing it again, because that's something we already quite familiar with. And we know, sorry, my throat is dry. And we know that it also improves the model. But right now, we are actually able to have quite some good results already, even without that, which makes us very optimistic, because once we have that live as well, models are going to get even better.
I have the second question that just popped back up. So something of concern is usually something like wash trading happening. Can your AI detect something like this? Wash trading?
Yeah, for sure. Not right now, again, on the MVP, that's still a limitation as well. We can detect it, but we haven't implemented it yet.
So there are ways, and it might come down the line.
Yeah, there are ways it might come down the line, and that's actually one of the challenges right now with our first version, which is market manipulation, right? So, for example,
exactly.
So our model is very good right now already. We're still in the alpha stage. We are already quite good at predicting real organic growth, or degrowth, or what's the opposite of growth?
Degrowth. I like degrowth.
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 Negative growth. So if it's organic, our models are very good at picking it up, right? Because they see the patterns. They have seen it happening in the past. They understand very well what's going to happen. One challenge right now is if someone tries to manipulate the market, let's see, they start doing some wash trading to pump the floor price very, very quickly. Our models are still not yet able to detect that. But I mean, it will come, just a matter of time.
I mean, it's AI, so it will learn over time to look out for wash trading and things like that anyway, won't it?
So that was basically like a good recap, right, of where we were last time. For everyone who doesn't know, is not familiar with Liisa and your project. What are the things that are kind of new that you have worked on since last we spoke? And what's coming down the pipeline?
Yeah, I mean, so when once we spoke, we still didn't have the platform live, right? As you know.
Yeah,
So
and
now
we have
you
a link
already.
for that. So when you're ready, we can look at that and show that.
Yeah, you can show it now. You
show
can
it
show
now.
it now. Yeah, for sure. So right now we already have it live for a few collections. You can zoom in or out in that chart, maybe.
But give
And
us a rough overview. What is this? What are we looking at, basically?
Yeah.
Just simply. Yeah.
So the concept is quite simple. So we looked at everything that was already out there, and you know there are a lot of analytics platforms. You go to check a collection, you have a bunch of charts. And so the last time we were on the podcast, we still had the older version, which had like the same, a lot of charts, a lot of information, a lot of things. And now the big breakthrough was like, you know what? I mean, if people know where to look for that information, okay? There are loads of tools that people can use for free that give them that information. So why don't we just do the simplest thing, which is, so what our model does in practice is, instead of you coming here and analyzing all the charts of the listings, of the sales, of the holders, all of that, our model is analyzing that for you in the background, okay? And it's spitting out what it thinks is going to happen to prices. So if you look at this captain's collection, each dot on this floor price line is a signal of a prediction from our model, right? And when you look at a dot, if you look at that specific, for example, that specific dot, the model, when it calculated that sell signal, the model has never seen the data that comes after it. The model has only seen the data that came before, so everything that's to the left of the signal. So once every hour, our model is running. It's looking at all the data that it has up until that point, and it makes a prediction. So in this specific case, it was a very happy prediction. So the model predicted exactly right before a big crash in price. Well, the model had been predicting it since way earlier. So you see
Yeah.
of red dots.
Over here.
So
What is
red
that? Like
red
Yes.
is the selling.
a month,
Yeah.
right? Basically, there was a uptrend, yet the model predicted there would be a downward signal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that means that probably the model, as soon as you had that big uptrend, the first one, the model started thinking that it was not sustainable, that level of price for some reason.
Yeah.
Either because of holders or because of listings or because sales weren't enough. For some reason, the model thought that. So it kept going up for a bit, but then eventually it came crashing down. So this is the interesting thing, because if you were selling, you would be better off selling only on the last one, right? So you would make more money if you bought
More
on the first
profit.
screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you were doing like a short sell, for example, you would make money right from the first one, right?
Yeah, you
Or
would
instead
just
of,
take less action, but you would still make at least half of what you made if you were just waiting another month almost, right?
exactly.
Mhm.
And you would still close at least half of the profit if you had bought on the first one.
Yeah.
You see? So this is what we are working on right now. So this is the very, very first version of the model that we have put live. And I mean, it's already quite interesting. It's still not perfect, as you can see, right? Sometimes it gets it wrong. But the way we are developing it is, I mean, we are aware that we don't have a crystal ball where we know price is going to go up or price is going to go down. We don't know that. All we have is probabilities, right?
Right.
So it's like playing in a sense, like playing a game of poker. So when you play a game of poker and you are handed two cards for your hand, right? You know that if you have an ace king, you have a very high probability of winning, but you can still lose that hand, right?
Yeah.
So
many a time, Bernardo. Many a time I've lost on ace king.
exactly. So, but the thing is, if you only play when you have good hands, you know that eventually in the long term, because it's probabilistic, you are going to end up making more money that you lose, right?
Yeah.
So this is the concept that we are bringing here, in a sense, which is we give the signals when we think there is a high probability of the signal being right. Sometimes it's right, sometimes it's wrong, sometimes it's kind of right, but it could be better. But the thing is, over this period that we are looking at, for example, if you were to calculate all the entries and all the exits, you would see that in this case specifically for captains, the model would perform at least like, it would give you like 2x as if you just bought at the beginning and held the NFT. So just by exchanging it in the long term. But yeah, the good and interesting thing about these machine learning models which is well, maybe I'm kind of revealing the secret sauce, but it's cool. For each day that passes, so we are not only like running the models every hour to generate or not a signal, we are actually retraining the models every 24 hours. So every day at midnight, more or less, our models are trained again. It's like start over again and
it's
come
like
up with
recursive, right? And it increases and gets better.
Yes, yes, exactly. The amount of data we are training the model with is always increasing. So the model, in theory, always gets better. And then there's the other side, the least automated one, which is ourselves as a team. We are also always coming up with new things to add to the model for it to also become better, not just by having more data, but also by having different data points and also more optimizations on our side. So here what happens is, for example, if I have a probability of it being a buy of 70%, I have a probability of it being a sell of 30%. We have some parameters like what are the minimum probabilities that you are going to show a signal. In this case, we actually use two different machine learning models. So we use one for the buy and one for the sell, and we assemble them and cross them against each other to make sure that in a case where a model thinks it's going to be a good to buy and the other one is going to be good to sell, they kind of cancel each other. I don't know if that makes sense. So yeah, I mean, on the background, we are always always improving on also these parameters as well. Like what's the optimal threshold of probability of price going up that we're going to use to trigger buys, or what's the optimal threshold or of probabilities of price going down that you're going to use to trigger a sell. So every couple of weeks as well, we are running like simulators. They calculate the PNL like over a period of months usually, and we select the sets of parameters that optimize the most to increase the ROI. Those models take into account marketplace fees. They take into account possible slippage if you are using other instruments rather than just the pure NFT. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm boring you with this conversation.
No,
absolutely not. I
stuff.
have a question for you. Looking at the captain's example here, now I'm curious about the frequency of the buy-sell signals. They kind of seem somewhat regular. I don't know, maybe a couple days.
Yeah.
Is that something you guys are influencing to the model, or is the model by itself doing the frequency of the buy-sell signals? Or basically, do you define that? Okay, give us a signal not more often than once an hour, or not more often than you do that, right?
Yes, we do that.
And it depends, obviously, right, on the liquidity of that NFT market.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yes. So the way it works right now is how can I say? Let's say that the model predicts there's a very high probability of the price going up right now. Okay. You receive a signal. So let's say in an hour from now, we run the model again, and the model makes the same prediction, and we run it an hour again, and the model makes the same prediction. We figured out it would be a bit irrelevant also for the user to be constantly receiving the same signal consecutively. Okay, so we've put a limit here, which is if it's a buy and the model is saying a buy again, we're just not going to show anything. And usually the first signal is better than the second one. So it's kind of good for the user as well. So what we do right now is if the signal is always the same, we only add it once every 24 hours. But in case you have in a very short period of time, as you have there.
So I'm seeing the case, for example, this Like you
Yes.
said, there's a buy signal, and then there's a
Yeah.
reinforcement of the buy signal. So basically, if a
Exactly.
user sees two buy signals, the second one, he should really take that seriously. Same thing with this here. There was a buy signal here, and then he got one
Yeah.
here. And if he bought here, he had even more profit to go all the way up, right? And he could ride it all
Yeah.
the way to here. So there's again, like you said, two buy signals, and then it does go up actually, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's a possible interpretation which makes a lot of sense. There's only one challenge into that interpretation as well, which is, I mean, most of the times yes, but sometimes no. Like if someone manipulates the market, does a bit of wash trading after a
Mhm.
sell signal, for example, the price can go up.
Like you
But I
said,
mean,
wash trading isn't yet included in the AI, right? It's not
no,
yet part
no,
of it. Okay.
no. But that sort of raises I would say, not a philosophical question, but maybe something to tease your brain, which is, imagine I have wash trading and price goes up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Price still went up,
Doesn't matter
right?
why. Yeah.
And there's another thing, which is if I have wash trading after a signal, okay, because usually wash trading isn't gradual. Don't know if that makes sense. It's
Yes.
not like someone is like buying one NFT today and another one tomorrow. Usually when they do is this is like it's like a pump and dump. It's like in a
Yeah.
couple
It's
of hours,
pretty
right?
strong action either way. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, in that case, it's impossible for our model to predict that. But for our model and for every person, I would say, unless they have inside information and they know that that's going to happen, right?
Right.
So yeah, that's one of the challenges.
Great. So let me ask you now. This is like one example, the captains, right?
Yes,
Do you have any, I mean, you will show a chart with sell and buy signals,
yes,
and they're based on the AIs to not be too often, right? As you
yes.
said. Are there any other tools that people can use or that are coming up that you guys are working on?
Other than seeing the signals?
Yeah, like evaluating, oops, evaluating a project's liquidity or validity, or if it's a scam and things like that.
Well, right now the focus is on the signals. So now we want to make the next plan is to add more collections so that you have more signals, right? Because right now we're only supporting a handful of collections. Then we want to add the portfolio feature. So basically, you connect your wallet. The idea is you connect your wallet, and you're gonna get alerts whenever there's a signal for the portfolio of things that you already own.
Mhm.
That's
So that's something.
fantastic.
Yeah, I believe so. And I mean, also we already have like an alerts feed on our Discord. We want to bring it into the platform as well. Also give you the option not only to receive on Discord, but if you want on Telegram or if you want on an email or whatever is the easiest way for you, but also for you to have a feed here of all the signals that have been. So imagine instead of just watching a single collection, you can have like a feed with all the signals
To
chronologically
your
ordered.
collection.
Yeah, either to your or to other collections, all of
Yeah.
them. I mean, you'll be able to filter. But basically, it's a much better experience. I mean, looking at this chart, the main objective is for the user to see that the signals work.
Yeah.
That's the only because you're not really interested of seeing what happened in the past. You want to know what's gonna happen in the future, right? Which usually is just the most recent signal, what we predict,
Yeah.
or the most recent ones. So the next step, important one, is to like first thing user sees the chart. Once the user already trusts our signals, the user can look at the chart if he wants, but he's gonna have a place where there's a feed of all the signals, much easier for you to immediately see what's worth checking out, what's not worth checking out. So the portfolio thing as well, super important. Something we would think. So these are the features that are already in the roadmap. The reason why we are not betting on enhancing our dashboards right now is very simple. So when we started, this was a lesson learned, which I think is important to any company actually. So when we started, we wanted to have a lot of information, a lot of different charts, a lot of different ways to look at the collections, as you guys remember. What we didn't factor in was that we're currently a team of 4 and we have only 2 developers, right? So that means maintaining and developing 20 charts is much more difficult than doing just one. And here's the thing, those other 19 charts that we had, they pretty much had information that you could find somewhere else for free, other platforms that already do that. So we were kind of in a situation where we were like, okay, we need to do something that really differentiates ourselves, because we're looking for our spot in the market, our own spot, right? And that's when we come with the idea of the AI signal. So instead of the user analyzing data, our AI analyzes the data for the user. If the user wants to analyze data, that data is available in other platforms for free. Everyone can access them. Of course, once we are, again, better funded, bigger team, revenue, we're going to start bringing back some of the other features. We think strategically it's more relevant if we start by doing the feature that no one else has and then bringing in the other features that already exist, rather than doing the opposite, which is like trying to copy what other people already have, replicate it, waste a lot of time and resources on that. And then you are not really differentiating yourself. So we've opted for this route of the signals. And then if we look at the longer term even, I mean, currently there's not the infrastructure in place, but I would like to take this to a point where you don't even need to see the chart. There is a robot that trades based on these signals. And if you want, and if you know nothing about NFTs, imagine if I have a product.
It does it for you.
Yes. So a product where we're not limited, which is one of the problems of the NFT market, is that it's a small market, right? So the latest data.
It's a small market, and we're talking about Ethereum here, right?
Minute.
Basically.
This is Ethereum.
This is Ethereum, right?
Yeah,
so,
but I'm saying across all blockchains right now there are 50,000 daily traders across all chains.
Yeah. Very small.
That's small. Imagine if I have a product that any person or any institution even can get exposure to the NFT market without needing to know too much about NFTs. Imagine how big that could be. So when you are investing like as a retail user, or you're doing savings accounts or whatever, you're basically just investing into an ETF, right? There's someone there that's managing the buying and selling stocks for you, and you just put your money there, and you can have exposure to the stock market, protect yourself against inflation, all of those things, right? So imagine if you can bring a bit of that into the NFT space. If we make a product that allows anyone to bring in liquidity, which is good for people that are in, but which is also good. It's good for everyone, yeah. So everyone can have a tiny, big bank, a family office, whatever, can have a tiny bit of their portfolio allocated to NFTs, and they won't need to know anything about NFTs, as long as our AI can guarantee like a certain return. So this is the longer term vision. Unfortunately, we don't have all of that infrastructure in place yet, but I feel like we're gonna have it, like, because I'm seeing the NFT market evolving in a very similar way that the crypto market involved, right? So it started like with those terrible UIs. I think in the beginning you had to use like a command line or whatever just to trade Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
Then you had the wallets, right? Then you had like altcoins, different types of cryptos, different use cases, different staking mechanisms. Then you had like DeFi, which really brought in these type of more advanced stuff, lending, borrowing, perpetual contract. So basically replicating what already exists in the traditional financial market, but in a decentralized manner for crypto. And what I'm seeing right now with NFTs is exactly the same. So now there's this big trend of NFTFi. So you can already borrow NFTs, you can lend them, you can rent them. So you're going to be able to do with NFTs pretty much everything you can do with the in real life assets. And you're going to also have the tokenization of in real life assets. So I think we're on a very, very good track in NFTs here to reach like this more mainstream status someday. I'm pretty
And your
confident.
product will be able to apply to all of these that we just mentioned. Not only NFTs, right? Also the digital assets and so forth.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, and this has other use cases rather than just trading, right? So right now, of course, we are focusing on trading, right? But let's say you are an insurer, or you are easier if you are a bank giving out a loan and you are allowing your clients to use NFTs as collateral. So NFT lending goes mainstream. Banks already allow you to use your NFTs as collateral because NFTs are respected and are tied to tangible assets, and there are processes in place for things to work. This type of model, like we are developing, can also be applied in that context for banks to calculate the probability of loan defaults, of probability of them making a bad loan. So if they can sort of predict the fluctuations, they can sort of adjust the conditions of the loans, how much money they are lending, what's the interest rate, and so on. So I think our product would also be very helpful for that ecosystem as well.
Definitely. Is that it for the alpha version of the model, right? Nick, you have a question?
Oh, I'm just listening, fascinated by it all, how far it's progressed since our first conversation.
I wanted to touch on something which is
I'll let you do that.
The grant that you guys, and it's public knowledge by now, right?
Congratulations.
Yes.
Yeah. So you guys won a grant from RippleX, I believe, right?
Yeah, from XRPL.
XRPL, right? Tell us a little bit about that. How did you get into that, and what was the process to get that grant and all of that?
Yeah, for sure. I think we heard about XRPL grants for the first time through you guys.
Yeah.
When we talked, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, it
you
was
mentioned
through you guys.
Definitely.
So then we also met some people from the XRPL ecosystem. So you guys, we also met the guys from XRPL Cafe, which I think not entirely sure, but I think they also got granted. They also mentioned it, and so we figured out it could be a good opportunity. So we started looking deeper into the Ripple ecosystem to see what was there already available, what wasn't available. Yeah, that's quite an interesting story. So our goal was to, well, first we wanted to have more chains because we already had users. So we already, since the beginning, we've always had community members that always told us like, oh, why don't you integrate with chain X? Why don't you integrate with chain Y? Why don't you integrate with chain Z? So the answer was always the same, like I told you before. So we have two developers. We cannot do everything, you know. So I mean, we would love to integrate with more chains, but our heads are pretty much.
It's cost as well, isn't it? It's finances, it's everything.
Yeah, because it costs time and money to the team to integrate a new chain.
So basically, having the perspective of money coming in through a grant will greatly increase the likelihood that you can work with that chain.
Exactly, 100%. And I mean, of course, we always look for a fit of not just. I would say it's a mix of three things, right? So, one, we getting money, of course, it's very good for us, right? But then there are two things that we also concerned about, right? So number one is, do we see that this chain has future potential? Because even if I'm getting money from something, right? The truth is, I'm still gonna be spending time from my team, right?
Yeah.
So it has to be a chain that we see as having potential to grow in the future, and particularly in the NFT
On which we can say for
ecosystem.
XRP, having legal clarity now is a very good thing, right?
Yes, 100% for sure. And I mean, if we go into the technicals as well, it's a very, very, very good, at least in my opinion. I'm not a developer, okay, but I sometimes look at the code because I
Like the
help my team
documentation,
as well.
right? And how everything
Yeah,
is done, right? Programmed and so forth.
yeah. I really liked. We really liked what we saw with the Ripple. Everything was very organized. Things were simple. I mean, you don't even. I don't know if you have development experience or whatever on other chains, but some guys really make it hard on the developer experience side of things. So Ripple also had that, and that was the third factor that I was going to mention. So factor one, so there are four factors actually. So factor one is someone from our community having interest. That's a good one. Factor two, of course, the grant money. Factor three, we believing that the chain has potential to be one of the leaders in NFTs, right?
Yeah.
And factor four is the developer experience. So specifically, do I look at this and I see it as something that we can develop, build on, and also maintain in the future? And is there that infrastructure that I was mentioning in the beginning of our call for us to actually be able to deliver this? And yeah, so Ripple kind of checked all the boxes there. So we applied. We applied with a slightly different project initially, which was to build out the to build out a simple platform that had the alerts functionality. And then what we were going to do is eventually we would integrate it to our platform with this new alerts functionality. But I think the thing that got the team from Ripple more interested was, of course, this AI model. We're very curious about it. Like, what is this? How does it work? People are
Yeah.
are
That's what
curious.
fascinated us. How
Yeah.
does this work?
Yeah. So yeah, we just said, okay, let's go, and we're gonna do this for XRP. So yeah, right now the team is already starting to develop things. We are doing the integration with the data that we need. And in a couple of months, I would say, we will have something already live.
There's a
for
lot
at
of
least
people waiting in the sidelines on XRPL, mate, to look into you, because I've had conversations and all this. You see, and it's like, it's coming, it's coming. I can't say too much, it's coming. So they are interested, definitely.
Cool. That's great to know. That's great to know. Yeah, I think it's gonna be a great journey, guys. I think I'm very excited for the Ripple ecosystem. It's very, very early. That can also be a very big advantage for us, right? To get in early on something usually is when you get the most out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a bit like anything in life. So yeah, I'm super bullish on the
XRP is very
XRPL.
under the radar right now. I mean, in all aspects. The market's down. Ripple hasn't, Ripple. XRP hasn't had any price increase for a long time, and everything is kind of in a lull. It's probably the best time to do things, right?
Yeah, I mean, just check with what happened with Solana these last weeks, right? It was down for I don't know how many months, and then out of the sudden, boom, there's the ecosystem. And I think that the chains that are gonna make it in the end of the day are the chains that are really betting one on mass adoption, and that might not necessarily mean just retail users, retail consumers, but actually doing things with companies, even if you don't even see the name XRP there, but maybe their technology is being used in the background by a bank or something. And then, I mean, if it uses their token, for example, for settlements, just to add 2+2 to see, okay, supply and demand. If people are going to start using the token with a real use case, Probably there's going to be less token out there in the market. Probably price will go up. Not financial advice. I don't know. So that's one thing that I think is bullish for chains. Of course, developer experience and supporting builders. So I mean, I don't think any chain, and especially these ones that allow for smart contracts, DeFi, so they are not just purely a token. I mean, the only way they are going to succeed is by having people building cool stuff there, right? So I think by doing these grants program, especially on XRPL, that's see the benefits immediately the next month or the next 2 or 3 months. But in 2 years, when you have a bunch of projects that are growing and flourishing, because they were pushed and they had that little push of help for them to become realities, that's in 1.5, 2 years. That's when you're gonna see everything exploding, right?
Yeah.
So I think they are doing very, very well.
And
The
I
other
think
thing
they
I'd like
also, yeah, go ahead, then I'll
The
go.
other thing I'd like to pick up is something you said earlier, Bernardo, regarding investment. If you went to a bank and they invested in NFTs, the user doesn't care where their investment's coming from, and they'll see this as Liisa as an investment platform where they don't care as long as they're making money.
Yeah, that is entirely true. That's entirely true, and I think that's going to be the case for a lot of users. I don't I and I think that's the best case for the space right now, because I mean there will be way more liquidity coming into the system by funds, by institutional investors than it would if it were just like individuals
Yeah.
with playing with their own money, you see. So if you have a guy that has money from 10,000 people and is investing in the space, of course you're going to bring in way more liquidity than if you have individual guys, because then you need to get 10,000 guys, right? So
Yeah.
I think that's I think it's not going to be I don't think most financial institutions or institutional investors, whatever, are going to be coming into the market like this year. Probably not next year, but maybe, I don't know, in 5 years you're going to see it as much more common. In 10 years for sure, and in 20 years, I mean, nobody is going to talk about NFTs or crypto. It's just going to be money and assets, you know.
Yeah. I mean, we know from some larger companies, individuals, like I know, for example, MasterCard has purchased CryptoPunks for millions of dollars, very high values, and they're investing in them long term for sure. So that's just maybe one outlier, but like you said, as a whole, the market will go see it as like general investing, and it'll be more by institutions rather than individuals, right? And your
Yes.
system will take part in that. So it's like an NFT, an ETF for NFTs, basically, right? For
Maybe,
example.
yeah. Maybe one day. Maybe one
knows?
day, yes. I mean, who knows? You know, thing with the startup is that things are always changing. So I mean, you need to have a goal. You need to have like a North Star, somewhere you are heading towards. But I mean, who can predict the future, you know? We
One
can only
great
predict.
thing, yeah, of course. One great thing though is that I'm seeing this as a validation from Ripple as well. Those guys are extremely smart.
Definitely.
And when they see something in your project, it's definitely for you guys to listen and to keep going, you know, because it's not easy to get those grants, and they're really selecting them by long-term usability. And does it add something to the XRPL, and does it give functionality that will be a future mass adoption, and even like you said, for companies and, you know, financial institutions. So they might see things in you guys that you do not see yet, you know. So keep going. I think it's a great endorsement in a way, you know.
Yeah, I mean, something I also need to mention. Yeah, I think that their selection process, as you said, it wasn't like easy at all. They were very selective. We had a bunch of meetings with really technical people, like
The
very,
best
very
developers, right? Checking
the
what are
best.
you guys doing.
Yes, yes,
Tricky
exactly.
questions. I
Not
can
Yeah,
like
imagine.
ours.
very tricky questions. Very tricky
I
questions.
mean,
Like
in general terms,
they
I know
went
you
deep.
can't divulge details, but can you give us like an idea of how this kind of goes down? Like if you have a meeting, what's in general, what happens? Can you tell us that? Non-specific, but maybe, you know, what kind of things come up, and I'm curious.
Yeah, I mean, I would say like we had different meetings. Um, one or
Do you have
two
to
of
sign an
them.
NDA before you go into a meeting? Or is
I
that
don't.
even
I haven't signed.
forbidden
No,
to talk about?
but probably it's in the terms and conditions. I've read them a long time ago, but I don't know. But I mean, some of the meetings were very like more general, like what's the idea, who's the team, what's the roadmap, how are you guys going to implement it, why do you want to work with Ripple? So more like generic questions,
Mhm.
right? But one of the last interviews was actually with like computer science professionals and professors, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
and they
Yeah.
were like going through the very technical. They went through our code, they checked it.
You
They
guys
asked
were
very,
shaking
very
in your
technical
boots,
questions.
right?
I'm shaking from now.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I think, I mean, I like to look at these things like those moments where, how do you say? So if you're building something and you're trying to be successful, this is the type of moment
Life
where
changing.
yeah, you need to put your like emotions aside and just I mean, be rational and try to do as good as you can, right? So probably we were a bit nervous, but then during it, I mean, we just did the best we could. I mean, we just explained the things. We are building it, so I mean, who knows more about it than we, right? So
Right.
Exactly, yeah. But congratulations and
Yeah,
good
so
for
you're
you.
really adding value in the future to the XRPL and to all people that will,
And
you know, use it.
NFTs as
Yeah,
a
and
whole.
also they made sure that they pick people that are efficient and clean developers and that will further the whole project, not bog it down, you know. So they really know what they're looking for there. So fantastic, and congratulations again on that. That is
yeah,
great
thank you
news.
guys.
Yeah.
Very, very excited.
Yeah. Anything else we want to talk about today? Nick, you got anything you want to ask?
No, just congratulations. I just, as you know, I'm always there. Love what you guys are building. As an NFT investor, I just think this is the future. It's so much help.
And
Otherwise, you're
Yeah,
just buying and selling and without a clue with what you're doing.
yeah. I
It
mean,
helps.
we're trying to like right now. Our focus is of course on individuals like yourself and like we ourselves, right?
yeah,
So yeah, we just hope like at least in this first stage, before we get the banks and the funds and what we were talking before, I mean we can at least sort of level the playing field a bit
Yeah,
more, you know, so that more people can do it, so that it's not like just something for very enlightened individuals, you know.
it's like the stock market, isn't it? It's bringing it back to the individual, back to retail. It's giving it to retail. This is what you. It is possible. You
It
haven't
is,
got
yeah.
to be a Wall Street nerd or whatever you want to call
Yeah, I mean that's definitely the goal. That's where we want to get. I mean, none of this is financial advice, okay, guys? Everyone
goes
should still
without
do
saying.
their
Our
them.
channel is
Oh,
entertainment,
buddy, no
you
one would
know.
take any notice of us. We'd all be skinned by
Yeah,
now.
entertainment and information. Everybody does their own research.
yeah, for sure. I mean never people should never invest more than they can afford to lose.
Definitely.
Our signals can help you do 300% on a trade. They can also help you do 100% negative. You know, you never know. I mean, you should always do your due diligence. Use this more as a companion, let's say, than as like following it blindly
Yeah.
without any of your own research, because in the end of the day, everyone is responsible for their own decisions.
Definitely.
So, but I mean, I hope the product can at least help.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. Buddy, you had a question.
Who, me? No, I never had a question
No?
for this.
Well,
No.
I think we can close it out for today, unless you have something you want to add, Bernardo.
No, I mean, just as usual, everyone that wants to come and try our platform, they can come. It's open right now. Anyone can try it. It's again, it's sometimes you'll get it wrong. It's sometimes you'll get it right. What we'd like to let people know is that we have our Discord open. We are always looking for more feedback, more insights, people to tell us how they think we could improve, giving us ideas. Also chilling with like-minded people who like NFTs, so they can always come for that. One thing I can guarantee is that team is working every day. This is getting better and better and better. You can try now our alpha version, see for yourself what it can already do. But one thing I can promise is that 1 month from now, 2 months from now, 3 months from now, it's always going to keep getting better and better. And it's going to have XRPL soon, so that's also something to look for.
Right. So
And
for
we'll bring the XRPL people in.
yeah,
There
so
you
for people who
go.
want to get the closest to you guys, that would be probably in the Discord, right? So we'll have a link for that.
Yes. I mean, the whole team is on the Discord all day. We don't even
Yeah.
use Slack or any of that. We use Discord because we want the team to be there, you know? So, I mean, we're always there. You can always come, ask questions, provide suggestions, meet other people. I don't know. We're always there.
Great. We'll have a link for that below the video. And with that, thanks for being here. We'll keep an eye on your project. We'll have you back when there's news. And Nick,
Thank you, Bernardo. And on that note, to the moon.